In this lesson, we're going to learn a little bit about editing our groups. The first thing, though, that I want to do is zoom in so that we can see these different office areas. And I'm intentionally leaving a little bit of blank space up here. The reason is I'm going to show how you can mirror a group to the other side. In this case, I'm going to click and hold my mouse button down and window around everything inside of these three different offices. Once they've been highlighted, I'm going to come up to the mirror command and I'm going to draw the axis. Now, the exact spot where I draw it doesn't matter too much to me. I'm just going to make a hallway in between these by clicking, drawing the axis, and then clicking again to mirror these to the other side. And one of the things, if you look closely, you realize is it's also mirrored the groups so that the groups themselves are mirrored to the other side. Now, this hasn't created separate families altogether. It's just mirrored these components onto the other side of the hallway. Now, we've done this so we can see what will happen to these mirrored objects when we make changes to our individual groups. The first thing I'd like to do as far as modifying a group is highlight over this group down here in the lower left-hand corner, and it happens to be Office 1. If we select on this group, we can see there's an option up here that says Edit Group. If you select on Edit Group, we can now see each of these are a nice dark component. If we wanted to add something to this group, we could then come up here to the Architecture tab, select on Component, and then underneath our properties, we could pick another component off of the list, such as maybe I wanted to add another couch to this room. We can come down here on the list, find this 54-inch sofa. I'm going to zoom into the room a little bit so I can see it a bit better, tap the space bar, and rotate it around. And now I'll place it up against the wall like this. You can now see that it's here, it's inside of the group. And now I'm going to select on the word Finish, and now it's part of this group. Now, the interesting part about this is if we would select on this group down here and now change it to be the Office 1 arrangement, we'll now see that it has that sofa inside of the office space. So we can make a change inside of here by selecting on the group, coming up to Edit Group, and then drawing in. We're technically also deleting furniture out of it. And when we do that, it'll update these other groups wherever it's been placed. Now, the other way that we can edit a group, in fact, there's two ways, and they're both very closely related to one another, is this method. If I zoom in here, highlight over, in this case, a piece of furniture, and then click on the Tab key on your keyboard. So I just selected Tab, and when I did, it highlighted this chair. And that's because my cursor was directly over the chair. When it turns blue, left-click with your mouse to select on it. You'll see this little symbol right here. Right-click on top of that symbol, and when you do, there'll be two different options. One is called Move the Project, and the other is Exclude. If you choose Exclude, we'll see that it removes it, but it only removes it in this group. In fact, if you highlight back over it, you'll see the highlight of where that would have been, but since we removed it from this group, it means in just this one, it's removed the chair. By the way, if we tried to do schedules or quantities off of this, the chair would not show up on it because it's now been officially removed from our project. If we wanted it to come back, we could highlight over it, click, and then up here it says Restore All Excluded. And by selecting on that, it's now restored it, and it's now back in our project environment again. The other thing that we could have done there, and I'm going to, in this case, choose this office over here to the right-hand side, is once again, select the Tab key on the keyboard, highlight the chair, click to select it, right-click where you have that symbology. From here, I'm going to say Move to Project. Unlike Exclude, which got rid of it, Move to Project takes this chair and then picks it up and then moves it out of the group. It's still in the same location, but now it's inside of our project instead of inside of the group. And because of that, we can click on it and now drag that piece of furniture to a new location. Another example of where you might do something like that is perhaps you'd have an architectural column inside of one of these rooms. If you had a column, and in this case, I'll move up here. I'm going to select on structural column off of the list. We'll see what's here. I'm just going to select on this 10 by 49. And maybe there's some sort of column that's going to be sitting inside of that space. In fact, I'm going to change this to say height instead so we can actually see it. So it's not going to be going into the ground. I'll click there to place it. Hit the escape key a couple of times. And now you can see that we have a column inside of this room. You just highlight, click the Tab key, select on the desk, right-click where that symbol shows up, move to Project, and then just move it over so that you're now avoiding that structural column which was there in the corner of your room. So you can modify your groups really in 3 different ways. The first way is to select on the group, come up here to edit group, and then make any changes that you want. The next way, highlighting over the group. In this case, I'm just going to highlight over the sofa, hitting tab to select on that individual piece of furniture, left clicking with your mouse to select it, right clicking where the symbology shows up, and then you can either move it to the project, which would allow you to move it to a different location, or you can exclude it, which will take that piece of furniture out in just this one instance without affecting all the other groups. And by the way, if we take a look at our mirrored components over here on the other side, we can see that it added that couch, that sofa, to this office over here. And if we had made any other changes to any of these other office spaces, those changes also would have propagated to the mirrored version on the other side of the hallway.